We traded Cowherd for Marcellus Wiley.
Oh, you said
I'm
that.
Jason Whitlock. We traded for that dude. Coming up, we'll tell you what to make of the drama between Magic Johnson and Luke Walton.
And get into this Sunday's huge Rams showdown, Saints versus the Rams. But today, we start with a Whitlock. What you got today, big dog?
All right, for nearly 100 years, one dumb decision in sports has stood above all the rest. In 1919,
When?
the Boston Red Sox traded Babe Ruth for straight cash, homie. $25,000 is all it took for the Yankees to acquire arguably the most dominant player in Major League Baseball history. Based on what we saw last night on Thursday Night Football, there might be a contender for the throne. John Gruden and the 10-year, $100 million contract awarded to him by Mark Davis could turn out to be the new dumbest decision in sports history. The Raiders players did not want to play for their first-year coach. They laid down in a 34-3 loss to the 49ers and some quarterback named Nick Mullins. You can argue that it's no big deal that the current Raiders don't want to play for Gruden. You can believe that Gruden wants to sweep out this locker room and start with a fresh batch in Las Vegas. I believed that early on, but I don't now. Gruden's contract and star power are a major problem inside an NFL locker room. The coach can't overshadow all of the players. Think of this. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady walk into a crowded room. Who gets the most attention? Brady by far. He's a far bigger star than Belichick. He's far better looking, and he's more interesting. He's cooler than Belichick. A reporter would rather interview Brady than Belichick. John Gruden is the lone star in Oakland. He's the guy everyone wants to talk to. He's better looking than all of his players, and he has a better contract than everyone except quarterback Derek Carr. It's a players' league. They take all the physical risks. They suffer the consequences of the game. A locker room is filled with two things: ego and jealousy. Players get jealous over money and fame. The coach needs to be removed from that. Gruden isn't. He's overpaid and he's too famous. The players justifiably can't stand him. It showed last night with their effort. Gruden is being paid and treated like he's on the field blocking and tackling. He's paid and treated like he's a franchise quarterback, like he's Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees. Players are always envious of the guy who gets paid. They all believe if put in the right situation, they could perform just as well as the guy in front of them. But they temper their envy when the guy in front of them is performing and single-handedly helping them win games. Gruden isn't doing that. He's Blake Bortles with Aaron Rodgers' contract. You can stock this Raiders locker room with all new players, and Gruden is still going to have a problem because he's still going to be the guy with the best contract, the best looks, and the highest profile. It's a toxic dynamic for an NFL locker room. Great football coaches are unattractive, paid less than their worth, and uninterested in fame. That's why I never went into coaching. All right, joining the desk now
Is that why?
is Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings and former Bengals wide receiver TJ Houshmandzadeh.
Oh.
Marcellus, this Gruden thing will not work. He's too famous. It's too toxic in that locker room.
Hey, you paralyzed me at first. Reading this and listening to you say it, I was like, ooh. This is going to be a difficult one to even counter. But then I started doing some digging and went back to my childhood years when there was a really good-looking coach, at least that's what the ladies say, who had tremendous success at his previous job, became the coach of one Dallas Cowboys by the name of Jimmy Johnson. Good-looking, killing it at his previous job, and got to Dallas and went 1-15. You remember that? I bet you forgot.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I remember too now.
So who's Herschel Walker? But go ahead.
Oh, Herschel Walker was gone. Khalil Mack gone.
They didn't get nothing for Khalil. Jimmy Johnson got a lot for Herschel Walker.
I get you, and it's probably not a perfect parallel, but let's keep going. So now we're seeing John Gruden on a one-win team, probably going to end up 1-15, the way that these guys out there feeling, and under 500 ball for Jimmy Johnson in his first few years. Who knows what John Gruden is expecting until they get to Vegas. But boom, all of a sudden, it popped. And it popped big for Jimmy Johnson. We all know that the issues with him and ownership got in the way of that continuing to develop. But we've seen precedent before where someone comes in with the elements you're describing that you say is impossible to survive and win and thrive. And Jimmy Johnson did it. Now, John Gruden has a different task because what he's looking at is trying to cleanse the roster, at the same time keep the spirit alive, and then try to restore that. That's a difficult task in a different era, but we have seen it done once before.
Cleanse the roster. What did you cleanse them on? You get rid of a Khalil Mack. He was a great team guy. What are you cleansing the roster for? John Gruden, like McVay, he's a nice-looking dude. He can be the star if he wants to. He takes a back seat because he wants his players to be in the forefront. Gruden wants to be in the front of the line. Say, hey, look at me. I'm the star of the team. It's all about me. McVay can do that if he chooses to. Sure. He's better looking than Gruden, and right now his team is hotter than Gruden. And if he wants to be the star, he can. He takes a back seat and he lets his players get there. What you said is 100% correct. John Gruden wants to be the star. He wants to make all the money. Me personally, I don't see the Raiders turning this around at all. He has 10 years. You would hope in 10 years they could turn it around. Right. But will they give him 10 years? Like, I'd give him 3 years. If he doesn't have it trending in the right direction in 3 years, he got to go.
Initially, I read this, and I'm like, man, it's not all about being a star. That's not it. And then the more you kept reading, I'm like, okay, man, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then I started trying to think of other coaches that were out front, that were bigger than their team. And I could not find any on this level, as you specifically eloquently put, in the NFL. Now, college football, different scenario. Professional sports, the players mean more than the coach because the coach is expendable. You can't get rid of 53 guys at one time. You probably could. It wouldn't work out right. So when I look at this, I'm like, maybe that is it. Maybe that is his problem. He wants to be the guy. He wants all the attention. But I wouldn't understand. I don't understand why he would get rid of somebody on the other side of the ball that you don't even deal with. Khalil Mack. It just doesn't all add up to me.
I think the Khalil Mack decision should be removed because that was a decision, I think, out of his hand. But what is in his hand is accepting a 10-year contract that you have to be smart enough to know, because here's the difference between college and the pros. Everybody in that pro locker room, coaches and players alike, are all competing to get paid. And John Gruden's got the best deal on that team.
He'll always
and that's
be
crazy
one of the highest
to the
paid.
players.
He'll, regard 4 or 5 years, it will only be 1 or 2 guys on that team that make more money than John Gruden.
And have that kind of security. Jimmy Johnson had no security when he started with the Cowboys and damn sure didn't have a 10-year contract.
Well, I'm going to say this. When it comes to the money aspect of it, I understand what you're saying, but if they offered me $10 million or 10 years for $100 million and I haven't coached a down in my life, I'm going to take that job too.
But you're also, again, John Gruden is sitting on a lot of change, and not all money's good money. He was making $6 million a year broadcasting games for ESPN. He made a bunch of money as a coach. Again, at the end of the day, what's most important to John Gruden is being successful. And that contract, I think, stands in the way of him being successful.
Dun, 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 dun. Here's a story, because y'all trying to beat up my Jimmy Johnson, I got another one. There was this very handsome guy out here in Los Angeles coaching to the tune of a dynastic college football program. Ran into a couple of issues here and there and said, let me dip on these boys. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's college football.
Hey, when he went to the pros, losing season. And then the Legion of Boom came out of nowhere.
Losing season, but they went to the playoffs.
7-9, but
they went to the playoffs.
Okay, well, we have a deflated league, or at least division at that time. And he was the biggest star on that team. There was no, Richard Sherman got drafted to the Seahawks. Nobody said that. Everyone was looking at this team. Russell Wilson got drafted. Nobody said that. What we saw was Pete Carroll out front, and what happened? They almost became dynastic.
Let's be real, though,
That's
Marcellus.
two? I got two?
No. Let's be real, though. John Gruden is 1,000% unique. There has never been a football coach in college or the pros with a profile and celebrity as big as John Gruden. He sat on Monday Night Football for years, and Chucky this and Chucky that, and the John Gruden quarterback camp. You've never seen, he's a celebrity coach. Pete Carroll was not a celebrity coach when he took over. He was a guy that bombed in the NFL originally, had some sex at USC for a time, and then came to the NFL. Not nearly with John Gruden's profile.
Not the same.
We've never seen this kind of celebrity.
This is the reverse John Madden. Like John Madden went to the Raiders, and then he was like, okay, I step away and I become grander, I become greater. This is the flip of that model, and you're right. No one else has flipped that model and done it before. That doesn't mean he can't be successful, because we haven't seen anyone do it before.
My argument would be the same. If John Madden had left the broadcasting booth to go back to coaching and commanded some huge contract with all that celebrity he had, it wouldn't work.
Well, Dick Vermeil wants to sit there and say, hey, man, I was in the booth.
Didn't have that level of celebrity.
Think about it.
He won the Super Bowl.
Mark Davis is the only owner that will put up with this. Mark Davis is the only owner that will give John Gruden the contract he gave him, because he came under Al Davis. He really, and no disrespect, he really don't know what he's doing, Mark Davis. So John Gruden finagled. He basically finessed him into giving me this 10-year contract, giving me total control, let me do what I want. There's not another owner in the NFL would have given him this type of control and power. Not one.
Well, you got to understand the business of football. Look, star power can cover up for other issues and voids. And
on the field, it can.
If you win.
But on the field, if it's a player.
It will buy you time. It will get tickets sold. It will get butts in the seats until you can fix what's on that
you know what's funny, though? The Raiders, they got the best fan. It don't matter if win, lose, or draw. They're going to be there. I got a buddy that love the Raiders, and we picking on him from last night.
Guys.
Love him.
Guys, honest to goodness. Did y'all watch that game? That team did not try. What I'm saying, he can't lead because his celebrity and contract are in the way. I think it's poison in that lot. You making all the money. You got all the security. You the star of this team.
Watching that game was a little disturbing for me, because it looked like he was almost in it by himself. If you look on the sideline, he's standing there. Even when Derek Carr came up to him and they're engaging, it was kind of like, almost like,
We've all been in the locker room. I never forget hearing the defensive coordinator, Nick, that was his first NFL start. Coordinators will I hear defensive coordinators all the time say, this is his first NFL start. We gonna make it rough. He only gets one time to make his first NFL start, and it's not gonna be a memorable one on us. And I guarantee Paulie Gunther went in there with, dude, they let Nick Mullins, he looked like he wanted a better quarterback. Like, is Kyle Shanahan that great of a coach to where he can look that good in his first NFL start?
There was the 52-yard touchdown run. If you watch that play, the guy running right.
It looked like they didn't even try.
They did not try.
I'm with you on that one. It did not look like they even tried. I mean, he didn't even look like he was running full speed. It just looked like he hit the corner and just,
I'm going to tell you what it looked like. I'm going to explain it to you. Marcellus, and this is just fact. That defense looked like a group of guys that said, they gave John Gruden Khalil Mack's money. We paying a coach instead of Khalil Mack. As an organization, his contract's in the way. If I'm on that defensive side of the ball, I'm like, they gonna invest in John Gruden and not us, and we're all being swept out of here. And I think if you bring a whole new batch of guys in there, it's going to be the same thing.
Stop it, y'all. You're making a great argument, but it's an argument that is out of convenience, because it's not truly the reason why they're not performing. It's digestible. It's easy to say, yeah, that makes sense.
Why aren't they performing?
But the real reason, look, in the locker room, you said jealousy.
Yeah.
Jealousy is used in the locker room to motivate. When I got into the locker room and I saw my first game check, and it was $30,000, and I was like, damn, that's more than my mama made in an entire year. I get it in 1 week. But then I saw Bruce Smith's, and it was like $700,000-800,000. I said, Lord. I didn't hate on Bruce Smith. I said, I got to go get this. And guess what? If I see my coach making that money, guess what I'm thinking? I got to go get this.
No, you're not.
How?
You're thinking he don't deserve this. You can compete with Bruce Smith and the other guys in your locker room. That's a decision they making on John Gruden. You can't compete with that.
10 million's not a
10 years?
10
years?
You got me there.
Yeah.
Hello, basketball money. You got me there.
Basketball players ain't getting 10 years.
Man, that's a lot on it.
That's guaranteed.
And it's guaranteed.
And
I still want to go
make
get
a good
it.
point. Like, you can compete, and that does. Teammates, when you come into the game and you come into an organization in the locker room, you do. TJ make it. Okay, I'm striving for that. But I'm not competing with my coach. You don't look at that as
Did you ever look at Mike McCarthy's dough? Did you ever look at your coach's money? I never even cared.
Because you don't even know what Bill Belichick makes, and that's what I'm saying is the difference. When you think of John Gruden, the first thing that pops in your mind is this dude's getting $100 million. And if we was in that locker room, we'd be like, the dude doing this X's and O's, he ain't
Man,
much better than what we had before.
That know they doing a better job than Gruden think.
I hear you there. Hey, don't disrespect me like that again.
What?
Bill Belichick make 10.2.
He does?
Hell yeah, he eating.
But he earned it.
He did earn it, but I still know.
It's not the first thing I think about, though. I think about the 5 Super Bowls. I think about Deflategate. I think about a whole bunch of other stuff. When I think John Gruden, I think 10 years, $100 million. And I'm like, and if I'm in that Raiders locker room, I'm like, he ain't blocked nobody. He ain't tackled nobody. He ain't sore on Mondays. He's a guy that.
What Kyle Shanahan making?
No clue.
And he proved the point last night.
UFC bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw loves the fight, loves the strategy. You know what else he loves? Toyo tires. Because like Dillashaw, Toyo tires are tough as they come, and they are the official tire of the UFC. There's a lot to love about Toyo tires. Aggressive design, proven on and off the road capabilities, tires for any weather, and the toughness to back it all up. There's a confidence that comes with tough tires. So no matter what you're driving, no matter where you're driving, you can count on Toyo tires. Tough people love tough tires. If you're tough, these are the tires for you. Toyo tires. The next time you need tires, ask for Toyo, the official tire of the UFC. Learn more at toyotires.com/UFC. Whitlock and Wiley, time for some big stories. Greg Jennings and TJ Houshmandzadeh are back. Let's start in New Orleans, where 2 of the league's best offenses face off on Sunday, with the Saints playing host to the undefeated Rams. Sean Payton says the Rams' offense is must-watch, while Sean McVay says he's always studied what Payton is doing. And while the combination of Payton and Drew Brees has been one of the most prolific in league history, McVay has Jared Goff on a prolific pace himself, with Goff topping Brees in yards, touchdowns this season, though Brees remains pretty untouchable when it comes to completion percentage. All right, the question here is, which duo right now is better? McVay and Goff, Payton and Brees. I'm going to take the surprising position for me. I'm going to go with McVay and Goff. I was someone that came into this season very skeptical of this young coach's ability to handle this entire roster, this overpaid roster, this collection of all-stars, and he has done it spectacularly. And so I'm going to give McVay a slight edge over Payton. I can't do that for Goff and Brees. Brees is better, but I just think McVay is the hot coach right now that has it all rolling. I like that combination better than Payton and Brees.
Couple Freudian slips in there, huh? I'm listening to you, brother. You keep trying to say it, but you don't feel it because you know it's Payton and Brees, man. I always go back to this example, and it's not to slight one J.J. Watt, but I remember when everyone said he's the next greatest defensive end, and everyone was like, yo, it's a done deal. This guy's it. I mean,
he
is. But guess what? You got to continue to be. And so he is. And I remember getting texts from Bruce Smith and others like, call me in 10 years when he's doing the exact same thing. So I'm going to stay focused and stay in the now. It's still Payton and Brees. Drew Brees is out there not throwing interceptions. Forget that. He only throwing 1.
Yep.
He's not even throwing incompletions, y'all. Do y'all understand what this man is doing? And then he has a coach that's like, I love me some Sean McVay. Boy, but have I been Sean McVay for a decade plus, doing the exact same thing, keeping my offense top-ranked all the time. So for me and my money this weekend, this Sunday, afternoon game, watching this NFC contention go down, it's still going to be all reliable, and it's still in the now. It's Payton and Brees.
I'm with Jason on this one. I'm Goff and McVay. Like, right now, man, McVay is doing things like, Jared Goff was a bust, and with he couldn't play football with Jeff Fisher. I don't know what these dudes believe in him. His play calling, the way he sets plays up, they just got it. And Goff, he pushes the ball down the field a lot more. Brees, they'll play action. They got guys wide. Sean Payton is no slight. Sean Payton, McVay, and Andy Reid are the best 3 play callers in the league, in my opinion. But for my money, I'm taking Goff and McVay just because Jared Goff looks so bad as rookie. He looks so bad. he looked like he couldn't play at all, and now he looks like he's one of the top 3 young quarterbacks in the league. He's going to do this for the next 10 to 15 years.
Marcellus, what did you say? What did you say Drew Brees is not doing?
Throwing incompletions.
Do you understand? I don't think y'all really understand this right now.
Let them know.
He not throwing incompletions, man. Like
You a receiver, and
look.
who you want to play with?
Give me Peyton. I'm not knocking Sean McVay. I love what he's doing. I'm excited for him. I would love to play with him, but give me Sean Payton. Give me Sean Payton, give me Drew Brees.
You better be Michael Thomas, because if you ain't Michael Thomas, ain't nobody else getting the ball but a running back.
Hey, well, you better get open. You better be that guy. Be that dude. That's not my fault. That's not his fault. He's getting the 77% complete in the last, like literally, completion percentage. Like if you go 1 through like the first 15, Drew Brees' names pops up like 5 times. Like literally, like 5 different times. There's 4 guys this year because of the new rules and everything. Completion percentage is a lot higher. He is still 77. The next guy's completion percentage, Derek Carr, at 72 point something.
Yeah.
Like 77.
So how much does that really mean?
Hold on.
How much does that really mean?
TJ, he's on pace to break the record that he
holds.
Right. Like this dude is next level.
Like
he stays next level.
Hey, you know what the good thing is, though? They're going to get parked this Sunday, so it will settle it all. Me and Jason will be right, because the Rams going to win this game.
Wait a minute, are you doing analysis or you up here rooting? Like, I mean, come on, bro. Like, you sound like that sound a little too LA to me.
No.
Come on, dog.
They're going on the road. McVay, I think Sean Payton is one of the best play callers in the league, but my money is on McVay and Goff. I like him.
This will sound like hate or I'm trying to be critical, because I have great respect for Peyton and Brees. But this completion percentage, to me, is a bit gimmicky.
What he said.
And so, it's nice.
Because it's going to Kamara?
No, it's nice. But they've won 1 Super Bowl with all this dominance and all these completions and all this offense.
And with no defense. Keep going.
But they've won 1 Super Bowl. And so I have never seen, and look, correct me if I'm wrong, research y'all right now, but I've never seen them produce the most dominant offense like what I've seen from the Rams and what I'm seeing from the Kansas City Chiefs. I've seen them have a great completion percentage, but never, to me, the most dominant offense in the NFL.
What about 5 times over 5,000 passing yards? That's more than completion percentage.
I get
this year they got the #1 rush defense.
This
so
thing's
now
called empty calories, Marcel. I'm an expert on it.
Empty calories, and they got a Super Bowl? And McVay.
How long has it been? 10 years, 11 years now?
And McVay and Jared Goff has.
This is their 2nd year, bro.
Hey.
And they might
that's
tie
not my
them up
fault.
this year.
Hey, hold them empty calories. I hate to be a hater, but last year, #1 offense scoring went into that divisional game against Atlanta. Take that and go back. What happened to the #1 scoring offense? Hey, you got to be able, not even to travel because y'all were at home, to do it when it matters. That's empty calories.
Oh, man, that was his rookie years ahead.
Oh, here we go.
To a big AFC matchup where the Steelers travel to Baltimore for a divisional showdown with the Ravens. Pittsburgh is still without Le'Veon Bell, but according to Ravens defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, can I take a beat here? Wink Martindale? That sounds like a character from Mad Men. The Steelers might not even want him back. Listen to this.
I hope he shows up like right before the game, and they want to play him. Look, it's like this. I think it's like since 2015. If you look at their stats, there's a lot of stats in different categories that the Steelers are actually better without him. They're better in those categories since 2015 without Le'Veon. So that might be why he's riding a jet ski down in Miami right now. I don't know.
Does that look like a wink to you? That doesn't look like a wink to me. But anyway,
Kenny Powers to me.
Martindale may have a point.
You need to wink after that.
Since 2015, the Steelers actually have a higher winning percentage, score more points, gain more yards, and are more efficient in the red zone when Bell is not on the field. Y'all can hate if you want, but Wink may have a point here.
Stop saying his name.
What? Wink may have a point here.
What?
He doesn't?
Hell
The
no.
stats
No, he doesn't have a point here. It was all tongue-in-cheek.
I don't think it was tongue-in-cheek.
Look, okay, let's go here. 1, who's a better player, Le'Veon Bell at the position or James Conner?
Who has more negative energy, Le'Veon Bell or James
Negative
Conner?
energy?
Yes.
How many yards that go for in the game?
It makes a difference. Locker room chemistry and all that energy don't matter.
Okay.
There's a reason why he ain't getting his contract, Marcellus.
The reason why them boys wanted him in there. It was mad that he
and
wasn't.
And don't now.
Begging, pleading.
And don't now.
Okay, there we go. Let's go by the numbers, because he used numbers to support his joke. 2015 to now, numbers suggest that they're better right now with James Conner. What I hate about those numbers is, one, it doesn't respect the improvement of the players. Did anybody think maybe the O-line is actually blocking better this year? And imagine what that would look like if Le'Veon Bell was actually behind the O-line, who is disgruntled and talking about him.
Maybe they're blocking better because they like the guy they're blocking for, and there's more positive energy in that locker room.
Okay, I can respect that, but you're too smart to go down this road, Jason. Be a historian of the game. Remember when Tom Brady got knocked out week 1, ACL injury, missed the entire season?
I was at the game.
Okay, and Matt Castle came in, and you know what people started to say at the end of that year?
Not me.
Oh, okay, but you know what people were saying, like wink? You know what? That team can win the same amount of games without Tom Brady.
Never said.
Have we not learned from history that you could put a Tony Brissett, you could put a Jimmy Garoppolo? Stop it. When Tom Brady's behind that, it's a whole different animal. Le'Veon Bell behind this offensive line this year will be a complete different animal and even better than James Conner.
This is the thing. When you play the Pittsburgh Steelers, every defensive coordinator, they game plan for Antonio Brown, and they game plan to stop Le'Veon Bell. They're not game planning to stop James Conner. They're game planning to stop Antonio Brown now. And he has 200 less yards this year than he had last year at the same point. Antonio Brown is suffering because they're not game planning to stop James. They'll let James Conner eat as long as now we stop Antonio Brown. The key is you got a game plan to stop Le'Veon Bell, and that's too hard to do. That's why they've been so successful. They're game planning to stop Le'Veon, and he's still getting off. James Conner, they're not game planning to stop him. He doesn't believe that. He doesn't want Le'Veon to come back. That's why he said what he doesn't really believe that.
This is why this is so easy and so simple. This is James Conner's first go-around. We see this with quarterbacks. We see this with new kids on the block. Their first go-around, nobody knows who you are. We can't prep for you. We don't know, is this a fluke year or can you sustain it? Le'Veon Bell sustained it with the game plans, with all of these defensive coordinators saying, we're going to stop this guy. And are they successful? Absolutely not. When Calvin Johnson left the Detroit Lions, everybody was like, oh, my gosh, Matthew Stafford's going to struggle. He didn't struggle because they had other guys and it looked a little bit better. But if you ask Matthew Stafford or any defensive coordinator that faced the Detroit Lions, would you rather face them with Calvin Johnson or without? Without every time, and they look better without. This is Le'Veon Bell. Without him, yeah, you can put all these numbers and say we can still win. You're supposed to. That's why we configure these rosters. Next man up, keep playing. But Le'Veon Bell, you can't replace a guy like that.
The people that know Le'Veon Bell best, and look, I've been on Le'Veon's side throughout his holdout. Get your money, he's a talented player. But the people that know him best are the Steelers organization. And they keep repeatedly saying, he's not worth it. And so they have the most information. And they keep saying, not gonna do it. He's trouble. He's been suspended a couple of times. I think part of Le'Veon's value or what diminishes it, I think he doesn't. The guy showed up at the last minute on a Saturday before a playoff game for a walkthrough. There's some negative energy with Le'Veon Bell that this James Conner, who's overcome cancer, doesn't have. And I think that little intangible makes a difference.
It does make a difference, not from a defensive coordinator's perspective. So what you just said, I would take isolated and say, okay, that's a different conversation. Why you don't want to pay Le'Veon long-term? Because being a franchise player, you're getting paid. You're getting top 5 average, but we just got to put you on a short leash. I respect that. But a D coordinator, for him to come out and say, this team looks better without him, he's just over there. He's over there laughing.
But
he's over there joking.
what is he supposed to say? Oh, they're much better with Le'Veon. They're not that good with James. That's what he's supposed to say because that's who he's facing. If James Conner eats him up, he'd look like a fool for not saying what he's supposed to say that because that's who he's facing. He has no other choice but to say that.
All right, thank you, Greg, TJ. All right, welcome back, Whitlock and Wiley. We're joined now by NBA champion Dante Jones. All right, let's move to a big story with the Lakers. Where LeBron James, the era is off to a rocky start, and ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski just revealed even more drama, reporting that Magic Johnson admonished Luke Walton over the team's slow start this week, and that Walton's job security depends on his, quote, ability to significantly improve the 3-5 Lakers. Walton addressed the story today.
I feel like I have a great relationship with management, yes.
Do you feel like you have job security?
I feel like I'm coming down here to do my job and coach, and I don't feel like I'm going anywhere, no.
I don't like this. It's too soon. And I think expectations were unrealistic. And I don't understand. Well, I do understand. If Magic's going to point a finger, he's not going to point one at himself. He's going to point one at Luke Walton. Magic assembled this team. People like me thought, hey, man, you put together a 500 team, a circus act for the biggest show in sports, LeBron James, and that's on Magic, not on Luke Walton. But, you know, Magic, to me, is pointing the finger at Luke Walton. He loves Lance Stevenson and all the other pieces they put around LeBron. I don't, and maybe Luke Walton doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, those expectations you talk about, I think that they were realistic. Magic Johnson went on record and said, hey, it's okay if we start off slow. They have started off slow. But that even comes with a clause. And that clause is, but you still got to live up to standard as a coach. Don't come in here and sabotage us or undermine us or not do your job. Here are two defining reasons why Magic, even though it seems a little premature, may be on to something. One is the lineup changes. I don't know who is in charge of that, but I would assume it's Luke Walton. You have the second most lineup changes in the NBA behind the Atlanta Hawks. Why? This is so easy to figure out.
2 of your players got suspended.
Okay, they consider that too. And other teams have had player suspensions, Houston, et cetera. But the lineup changes weren't just about the suspensions. It was also about, let me just try and figure this thing out when you knew coming in as advertised what that starting lineup should have been. Kuzma, Ingram, JaVale McGee, LeBron, Lonzo. Okay, that's it. Everybody else play for your time. But there was all this cloud about, in conversation about what that should look like. That's one. And two is the pace. They were first in pace of play when Lonzo was healthy last year. So you know this team can run. Then this year, they're fourth. So you say, not bad at all. But everyone who's watched the Lakers this year has noticed one thing. They can't keep a lead. They can't close the game at the end. Why? Because that pace of play drops to 15th in the league. You want to know why? Because someone can't control one LeBron James on every possession, where either it's all ISO or it's no ball movement, or all of a sudden we can't rein them back in and get everyone else involved. That's on the coach as well.
It's a lot of factors that go with being unhappy with a coach. It's not just the record. It's maybe control of the locker room. It could be defensive focus. It could be offensive focus. It could be his voice and how he controls these people and how he gets them to work toward a common cause. I don't think it's too early because you see these signs early, and Magic Johnson, as we know, he's been super successful on the court. He's been in locker rooms like this before. LeBron James, super successful on the court, been in situations like this. You can tell when it's not working in the direction that you have a vision for your front office, and it may be not what he wants. Most people that when they come into a job, they want to hire their people because they'll feel like that person will be in sync with him. And if you as a general manager, president, you have a vision for how you want to play, you know who you want to be in these positions, you want to have a certain type of relationship with your head coach, and that comes sometimes when you hire the person, and it could be a small, little break in communication between him and Luke because wasn't his choice, wasn't his guy. They may not know how to communicate well. They may not see eye to eye on certain things. So it may be the time because you may see the signs early. There
was some criticism in this article of Magic Johnson and his management style that we didn't focus on in the setup. And to be honest with you, I wish we had, because again, they're saying in this article, Adrian's reporting is that Magic is a bit of a hothead as a manager. And again, when you're talking about a team that's just 6-7 games into the season, you had Rondo spit on Chris Paul and Brandon Ingram punch somebody and get suspended, and now 8 games in, we already in the coach's office raising hell. And let's don't leave out the fact that there is a common everywhere LeBron goes, there's a problem with the damn head coach, man. Everywhere. And again, there's great reward and great benefit to coaching LeBron. there's also great headache.
Name those head coaches, though. I mean, and look, we all get it.
Eric Spoelstra would be
now
one of
Eric Spoelstra, not then video technician Eric Spoelstra. Look, like when you go to college, first thing that happens is when those seniors turn into freshmen, we start looking at their Letterman jackets. You know, we look at the stripes on the side, on the sleeve. And LeBron, I mean, it's human nature, him to look at Luke Walton's stripes and like, So when we hit adversity, I'm going to lean on you, brother. And you got to be able to be that type of coach that could withstand that. Magic Johnson is a fish out of water right now, not because of his job title, because he ain't used to losing. And when he sees this situation, he's like, I know how to fix it. Right. You take that as a negative. I take that as a positive of a guy who's like, I could read the tea leaves and read them early and make moves to adjust accordingly.
Both are winners. Both know what it takes to win. Magic and Johnson, with 8 titles, 9 MVPs between the two of them, they know what it takes. They don't have a winning coach on their roster right now. No disrespect to Luke Walton. I think he's doing a great job. I think he's done a great job wherever he's been. He may not be the voice that can reach them. And that's what Magic's job is. That's what he's responsible for, finding the right voice to reach these kids and make them work toward a common cause. Luke may not be it. He may be it. It's up to Magic to find out what is right for his organization because he has one chance to get this done. And would you rather take care of it now than take care of it later when you saw these signs early? In any relationship, you see the signs early, you just choose not to deal with it.
Heck yeah. I mean, they say you spend half of a relationship really breaking up. So if you were together for a year, 6 months of that, y'all were going through hell, and you knew it. But you're like,
there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. And you got to keep in mind, Magic Johnson's my favorite athlete of all time. I mean,
he's my favorite businessman.
He and Tiger Woods, but Magic, we go way. As a fan, I go way back. And I'm just listening to you all talk. I'm remembering Magic's rookie year, and he got rid of the coach basically, Paul Westhead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they went to Pat Riley, and so this is, I guess, somewhat on brand for Magic Johnson.
Right.
And.
What? But let's not take this as a negative for Luke Walton because Luke Walton is going to be a great coach in our league. It's just that there are championship coaches, there are rebuilding coaches, there are guys who can do different things. If you have a championship in your sights right now, you got to look to a championship coach, and you may have to, you may not, but Luke may or may not be that guy. I can see why he is looking at it. I can see why Luke could be the right guy for the job, but only Magic knows what he has in his vision.
Okay, but if I'm Luke Walton, I'm sitting there saying, you can have these championship dreams, but you got to have a championship roster. And when I had a championship roster in Golden State, what were the results? And I don't know it was for a limited time, but he had a lot of success. He knows how to coach a championship roster. This is not a championship roster.
He knows how to coach that set of people, and it's 2 different teams.
And that was a well-oiled machine already rolling.
Before it was already rolling in that direction.
This is not a championship roster.
We don't know that. And look,
come on, Marcellus.
Hold on. The blueprint for what they're trying to build in terms of a championship roster is there. They have a young core that they're trying to hold on to and develop and blossom. It's not going to win a championship this year, but those key pieces are in place, they think, and all we need is 1 or 2 other people, other players. Here's the thing that Luke Walton that really stood out to me in the last game I watched. 1, LeBron ran down and shot it like a 40-footer. Okay, that's fine. LeBron James could pull it. But then they pan to the sideline. Luke Walton just sitting there, and the player's kind of like, all right, whatever. Then you go through that game, you see LeBron James on possessions, shot clock violations, missing free throws, no reprimand at all. Maybe Magic is like, maybe, Luke, you're over your head in terms of reprimanding the king of our game.
We've all had teachers in our lives that may have the same educational background, right? But they could reach you differently because of their personalities and how they communicate to you, right? So it doesn't mean that the teachers weren't right for their job. It's just that they were right for a certain type of kid or a certain type of demographic. I think that's just what we're dealing with right now, finding the right coach for that team and how they want the direction.
Okay, Dante, I want you to respond, and we got to go to Marcellus's point because you've played with LeBron. He's talking about reprimanding and spanking LeBron, blah, blah. Is that really going to work with LeBron James? We're going to reprimand and LeBron James?
I was thinking about this morning. All the greats you've seen, they had a relationship with their head coach. They had a relationship where they communicate. Let's say Pop and Tim Duncan. They had a relationship. You've never seen Pop yell at Tim because Tim did his job, was responsible. He may have been wrong, but you communicate in a different manner. MJ and Phil, you never seen Phil just berate MJ or Kobe. They communicated differently. So there's a partnership when you have the guy, the best in the game at that time. There's a partnership that exists between a coach
and that player.
And if I'm-
You got to create the right
But you
partnership.
said Ty Lue did that to LeBron.
And you see in LeBron's tweet about Ty Lue when Ty Lue got fired. Our partnership, our relationship was something I'll remember because they won a championship together, and it because of the partnership that existed, because they knew how to communicate and get the best out of each other.
It's a two-way street. When I DM Tamron Hall, she has to DM me back.
She got to follow you first.
But she has to trust you to DM you back.
Yeah.
She has to trust that
So
you're
you
going to hold on.
screenshot it.
Right, you ain't going to screenshot it. Okay?
Here's my point, though. It's like when LeBron came here, it was Magic and LeBron at LeBron's house on free agent night. We had those stories at the beginning that they hadn't even talked. And they finally said, that's all. You think Luke Walton didn't want to talk to LeBron? LeBron wasn't making himself available for that partnership.
But one thing I do know what happened in that meeting is that LeBron fell in love with Magic's leadership and Magic's direction. And whatever Magic say, I'm going to get it done wherever it takes to get it done, he believes in that. And it's not his job to find the right coach. It's Magic's job to find the right coach, and Magic's going to take control of that.
On a lighter note, I know he's your favorite athlete of all time, and he's your favorite businessman. He wrote the foreword for my book, Never Shut Up, bestseller out there. Right there. Please go pick it up. To let y'all know, Magic Johnson all around, baby.
All right. All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley. Dante Jones is back with us. Let's move to the NBA, where so far scoring has been way up this season with 18 teams averaging over 110 points compared to 5 last season. Not that Adam Silver minds, saying that the rule changes that have been implemented this year, which include cutting the shot clock to 14 seconds on offensive rebounds and emphasizing freedom of movement and foul calls, are working as intended. All right, I want to talk about this one because we got Dante here, and Dante was a defensive player. Mm-hmm. And to me, I don't like this. To me, they're illegalizing defense, and the game is too easy. I like more resistance, and I'm just worried if we're making the great defensive player less valuable.
It's the game is different, and different sometimes is better because everybody's adopting that Phoenix Suns, Golden State, more possessions, high tempo, just get more three-pointers. Like, it's just a different game. It's fun for the fans. To watch the shootouts has been fun to see Clay get 50, to see Steph get 50, to see D Rose get 50. Just these shootouts have been fun for basketball to watch. I don't think there's less defense. I think there's more possessions. Guys want to get out there and run more. Every team wants to run and push the tempo because they have more athletes in the game right now. So I wouldn't say defense is out of it because there's still some defenders in there. AD is still controlling it. Kawhi is still a defender. Clay is still defending. It's just that you have to defend. It's no more half court. It's no more hold the ball for 24 seconds, 5 passes. No, they're like, we're going to take the first good shot we get. Threes are corner threes. We're going to run these lanes. We're going to use our athletes more in this game right now.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it as well. And it's good to hear an NBA player, a former defender, saying this is all good. One, by the numbers, like, we are grossly exaggerating how much they're playing better offense. It's a 6-point difference than last year. So 106 to 112.
That's significant.
Oh, it's 2 3-pointers. In a world where everyone's trying to be the D'Antoni system, because, damn, they had Golden State on the ropes up 3-2 before injury to Chris Paul. Everyone's like, let's do the D'Antoni system. Case in point, last night, Boston shoots 55 3-pointers. Guess what? You're probably going to score some more points in that game. I'm looking at it as simple as this. No one goes to an NBA game and is like, you know what I really want to see? Them grind it out. Miss some shots, please. Pass
that thing around.
Give me some defense.
Y'all so wrong.
You kidding
Y'all so
me?
wrong.
That's
You know what,
we
man?
grew up, but that's just not the reality of what is great basketball.
I'm going to go back to, you never wanted to see Scottie Pippen take somebody apart defensively. I enjoyed that.
I enjoy individual matchups. Like, I like seeing Kawhi go out there and defend, the claw on everyone. But I still want to see 120. I mean, somehow, some way, make this add up, because what you're saying is the new rule, which is the emphasis on freedom of movement. Listen to how corny this sounds, and this is what you're agreeing with. Geared toward cutting down on arm wraps, grabbing and dislodging by offensive and defensive players. Oh, Jason Whitlock is, oh, baby, you got courtside seats to see the dislodging of players? Like, nobody wants to see that, Jason.
Jason, if you change these rules, right, you don't see a special talent like Steph Curry evolve into what he is right now. Because if you can hold him, it just doesn't work for his game. If you can hold him and be physical with him and knock him to the ground.
He's won 2 or 3 MVPs, right?
I understand that because of the evolution of the rules, and which is fair. It added abilities for him to move, cut, do a bunch of things, take the strong defender, the big defender, from taking him out of the game, push him to the floor, and this has been good for basketball. The emergence of shooters like him has been good for basketball. Trae Young comes along in that same light. You get more shooters to be able to play this game and have more of an effect on the game.
Let me ask you this, Dante. Bruce Bowen, yourself, do you guys feel like y'all have the same value in this NBA that you did previously?
The value of the defender has always been something that wasn't. You weren't paid like offensive players are. And offensive players are always going to be paid more.
Do you have less value in this league than you did?
You see guys who are two-way players who can guard in the half court. Now, the hardest thing to guard is a guy flying at you. And this transition game is always been hard for defenders to guard. Because when LeBron James is barreling down on you from off the rebound, that's tough to guard. Like, you can't do anything about that. And if you keep that up, keep those type of possessions up, it's going to be hard for anybody to guard.
All right, to Boston, where the Celtics hit a franchise record 24 three-pointers last night to hand the Milwaukee Bucks their first loss of the season. With the East wide open, expectations are sky high for the Celtics, and both Kevin Durant and Draymond Green said this week that Brad Stevenson's crew is their biggest threat. I agree with Durant and Draymond. I believe the Celtics are a real threat. I think they can. I'm not saying they will, but I think they can beat the Golden State Warriors in the finals.
Man, they're trying to psych themselves up and try to get themselves rallied around something. They need a foe. Last year, their issue was motivation. They even went on record and said it. We didn't have any really major pieces, swaggy P if you want to call them that. So they kind of just went through the season in cruise control. Now they're like, Boston's reloaded. Boston is something here. We have to go out there and create this mentally, because I don't think that Boston can beat them even at full strength. I just don't see it. I think Steve Kerr, if he's going to be truthful with his team, is going to sit up there and say this: we can lose to them, but they can't beat us. And that's a completely different ball game. If both teams play at max effort and give you optimal performance, there's a cliff between Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and then what they're going to bring out in Boston, which is going to be young pieces, and then they experience Kyrie. I just think there's still a big separation.
I think what sets Boston apart from other teams is that they have a plethora of scorers, whether it be Kyrie, whether it be Tatum, whether it could be Brown. They have a bunch of scorers that could fill in if injury happens. Right now, Golden State is stuck with their big three. And if anything happens to one of those two, and God forbid, two of them deal with an injury problem, they're kind of stuck on the scoring department. So, yes, they are a viable threat, but I think there's another team out there that's a viable threat to them, and Toronto is one, because the way Kawhi is playing, the way they play up-tempo, they have long defenders, they have athletes, they can guard multiple positions. You have two threats in the Eastern Conference that can score in a bunch of different ways, can defend at a high level, and have deep teams. So Golden State does have some people out there that can beat them.
To me, Boston has the most growth potential of any team in the league. That doesn't mean they can grow taller than everybody in the league, but where they are right now, with Hayward trying to recover from this injury, with Tatum and Brown, they're still really young and trying to figure out how to play with Kyrie, and they have, to me, the best coach probably other than Popovich. What we're seeing now from Boston, I think, is going to look dramatically different come April and May, and that's why I believe they have more room to grow than anybody in the league. That's why I believe they're the threat.
To Dante's point, that depth. There's two ways that we've seen of recent memory to beat Golden State, or at least get them on the ropes, is one, just have that top-heavy team. Remember OKC up 3-2 against them a couple years ago. What you had? You had a Durant, you had a Russell Westbrook. Or you could beat them up with depth like Houston Rockets and muck it up a little bit. Like, hey, let's play a little bully ball. Let's not stay on this main street. Let's go in this alley. And that can kind of get to them as well. But I'll be careful of saying this team is automatically going to grow because of the additions of Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. Yeah, I will be careful, because there's something in sports that your success is not always supplemented just by bringing on new healthy bodies. And even if they're stars, it's hard to find examples in basketball, but certainly, remember the Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl? And I was sitting there like, damn, they won the Super Bowl with 15 guys on IR. I was like, ooh, next year it's a wrap. You know what happened next year? It was a wrap in the playoffs, all right. One and done. Got up in there and got smacked around. Just be careful. Like, you have to make it all work. You have better ingredients, but you still got to mix it up properly.
Thank you, Dante. It's time for Tell Us Marcellus, where Wiley sounds off on some stories that have caught his attention this week. Let's start in Baltimore, where the Ravens host the Steelers Sunday. The Ravens dominated their first matchup of the season, and Joe Flacco said it wasn't exactly the toughest Steelers game he's ever played, which still has some Pittsburgh players pissed off, with Ramon Foster calling Flacco's words shocking, and safety Sean Davis saying we'll see if he has the same response after this game. Tell us, Marcellus, should the Steelers stop whining?
Yeah, they need to stop whining, man. This is that old psych job when you're really talking to yourself, but you're hoping that your opponents hear it. Look, the first matchup, you went as hard as you could at Joe Flacco. You tried your damnedest to knock him out the game, because that's our intent on every single play we play, especially in a rivalry game. Of course, you're trying to send a message through everything you do, but he didn't receive the message. So now all of a sudden, we really gonna go get you this time. Oh, you better look out. We got 110% this time. If I'm Joe Flacco, I'm just laughing all the way through this, because there's no way you're gonna come at me any different than you did the first time. Wasn't scared then, not scared now.
I 1,000% agree with you that this is some mental game they're playing with themselves, because I'm trying to think, they won the game and Joe Flacco is saying, hey, this wasn't the hardest game I ever played. Because, one, he's lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and so those would be harder games. I don't see this as any shot at all at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're trying to manufacture some emotion here, but I don't even know why they're trying to manufacture emotion. It's the Baltimore Ravens. It's the AFC North. They're going to bring – this game's going to be the typical AFC North war regardless.
Yeah, that's how it goes. I mean, it's some fake bulletin board material if you're just that lazy and you need some motivation. But trust me, I love it when you beat somebody at something. They say, oh, you better look out next time. I just looked out last time, and I beat you. So you guess what? If I beat you then, I got the confidence to do it again.
All right, let's move to the NBA, where the season has barely started, but the speculation about Kevin Durant's impending free agency is already red hot. A lot of people believe Durant is on his way out of Golden State, but former Cavaliers general manager David Griffin says that the selfless and dominant Warriors are by far the best fit for Durant. All right, tell us, Marcellus, would Durant be crazy to leave Golden State?
No, he wouldn't be crazy. People got to understand that every player has a different list of boxes to check. Kawhi Leonard had different boxes to check than a Kevin Durant. And we saw Kyrie Irving in a comfortable situation with LeBron James, the king of the sport, and still said, I have other boxes to check. For Kevin Durant, maybe he said, I wanted to check off my championship box. Now there's another box called I am the guy, clear-cut leading this franchise to a championship. So something my coach told me that got me away from major college football programs to go to Columbia was, do you want to go somewhere and carry the torch or go somewhere and light the torch? KD may be a guy who's like, I already carried it with Steph Curry. My turn to go light it, and it could be in New York. Look out for KD. He has some more boxes to check.
I actually think KD would be crazy to stay in Golden State. If he wins a third title and maybe another third Finals MVP, what's there left to prove in Golden State? The only thing left to prove is your point. Can I go light a torch? He lit one for a moment in OKC, but he left before it caught full flame. And so I honestly think a third title, you've proven your point in Golden State, go somewhere and be the man, not the man standing next to the man or the man sharing it with Steph Curry.
Yeah, and he's also been on record saying, I am trying to get paid. No haircuts, no hometown discounts, fully paid like other guys I see in this league that I know I'm better than. I want some of that money.
My favorite time, antisocial. I forgot my damn Twitter off. All right. Darnell Smith, our social media manager's here to tell us what's happening, what's popping in them Twitter streets. What's cracking?
Everything, man. Well, we're going to start off with last night's game where pictures of a 49ers cheerleader kneeling during the national anthem took social media by storm. It's not the first time 49ers cheerleaders have taken a page out of their old quarterback Colin Kaepernick's book, with two kneeling during the Christmas Eve game last year. Still, nothing fires up Twitter like a kneeling during the anthem debate, with tons of people both supporting and criticizing the cheerleaders' decision. But what do you guys think of this?
Man, that's my reaction.
Like a shot of liquor.
There's rumors that she is kneel because Nikki Mullen started at quarterback, and she was actually protesting the fact Kaepernick doesn't have a job, and Nikki Mullen does, and that's what she was. That's the rumor.
That's the rumor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never. All right, so the kneeling was to protest, okay, and that was to activate. That turns into action. That turns into really helping the people who are underserved, voiceless, and powerless. You can't take a knee with a smile, one. Like, you protesting?
Right.
Do you know what a protest is about? Like, oh, I'm happy. But that's one. And man, I ain't got nothing else. But this is when, all right, Crip walking used to be real Crip walking. Like, yo, he a Crip, like in the 80s. Then you look up B2K doing it. And I'm like, man, you know what? Everybody ain't Cripping like that. So, I mean, everybody ain't down with the cause like this.
I'm going to tell you what it turned into, Marcellus, and I said this a year and a half ago. It's the Ice Bucket Challenge, and she's done it. She's done her Ice Bucket Challenge. I hope it leads to a reality TV show.
What, she gonna tag 5 cheerleaders now?
It's your turn.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all.
All right, Darnell, what's next?
All right, moving on to the actual parts of the game, where John Gruden's Raiders took a beating against the 49ers, but it wasn't just Nick Mullins making Oakland's night miserable. Twitter also took Gruden to task for the embarrassing primetime performance. Jeff Schwartz tweeted, "The positive here for the Raiders is Gruden has 9 more years to figure it out." You're right. Kevin Clark tweeted, "A confused Gruden is now packaging 3 first-round picks for C.J. Beathard." Hey, check this one. This is my favorite right here. John Gruden and Jason Witten should just do a job swap. Y'all think Monday Night Football and the Raiders should make this trade happen?
Let me say something about that. There were rumors that Jason Witten, a Tennessee grad, was going to be the new Tennessee head football coach. And so there was interest. There were rumors, and I think Jason Witten had a little interest in that. So maybe that would be the right move. Gruden back to the booth, and Witten to the sideline.
Yeah, it's crazy. No one asked my opinion, but when I heard rumors of Gruden leaving Monday Night Football, I was like, what are you doing? It is the best job going, and you're killing it. What new challenge do you need? And now we realize, it's not going so well where he landed. The funny thing is that John Gruden, being the coach of the Raiders, this is what they paid him for, to take this hell, to take these hits. That $10 million is nothing but cushion from everybody who was shooting at the Raiders because they only had 1 win. So ride it through, man.
I think ESPN would throw in the Booger Mobile to Oakland as well to get Gruden back. Just the Mobile, not Booger, the Booger Mobile.
The Mobile, blocking everybody's seats. You know what I'm saying? And all you're getting is Booger hot dogs. Right? You don't get your butt out.
I can't laugh at that hot dog comment. I got no comment.
You ain't got hot dogs. They bigger.
Extra spicy. All right, go ahead, Darnell.
All right, moving on to a little bit more serious note. I want to hear your thoughts on this prep school coach rant that went viral after one of his players decided to transfer. Some pretty rough language here, but take a listen.
I control transcripts. I control where you go next. It could be back to Haiti, mother. That's how easy it is for me. You don't want to. Listen. I'm the one thing that you don't want to cross because I'm the dirtiest, baddest mother in this earth. Like, because you don't want to get on. First of all, you can't get to my level. You can't. Stop talking. Stop, because now I control everything. I just want you to really know that.
You control what?
I'm going to you in your the next time you talk out of line. I'm going to take everything from you.
Wow. Woo. That sends chills through my body because putting that kind of negative energy into a child and you representing the National Christian Academy, somehow you allegedly representing God and you putting that kind of negative energy into a child, I know he's done nothing criminal, but no way can he, and he used to be a coach, I guess, up in Maine or something, and then came down to Florida and started this. He cannot be associated with young people, period, end of story.
No, that is disturbing to hear, but I want to offer perspective and look at it through the truth lens and some of the parental styles. One with my own family, I'm going to just be 100 because there's 3 sides to every story. And supposedly he's come out and said, look, the kid has lived with me. I was talking to him more in the space of being a parent. Now, here's the real of it, Whitlock. When I got in trouble the few times, I used to steal and I used to burn stuff. I was a little arsonist and a little thief in high school. Obviously, turned the page. I'm glad no one recorded what I heard from my mama. Not my daddy as much, but what I heard and felt from my mama. And that's no excuse. But if you want to look at it through the parental lens and play the bottom 5 lowlights in interaction when you really did something wrong. And according to this, he even said one of the things was criminal. If you look at it through that lens, you get a little less sting from it. Still doesn't excuse it because it doesn't excuse my situation growing up. But I want to hear all sides to this story before I just go off of the excerpt.
You know what? There's certain things your parents can do, though.
Yeah.
And again, he's not his parent.
He's not, but he's taking him in as custodian. He's from Haiti. He's living with me. I wonder if that blurred the lines because he's not talking to him as coach.
It may have, Marcellus, but here's where your mother, my mother, I guarantee you Darnell's mother, it's always coming from that place of, I brought you into this world and I can take you out of it. And again, every parent I know, black parent, has said that at some point.
Yes.
It's never meant, but it's about, look, I brought you into this. This Mike Woodbury did not bring this child into that. So he has no right, in my view, to go there.
And I agree with that. But I've always had, throw a little caution in the conversation to just see what else was going on. Because it was a 35-minute conversation that turned into a 3-minute excerpt. You never know. You never know.
And then
fully.
The other question I would ask Mike Woodbury or this kid, I think, was a Division I prospect.
Yeah.
And so I want to go look and see who else he's bringing into his home. Are there some non-Division I prospects he's brought into that home?
Say that.
And so who's he bringing in? Division I prospects or kids in need?
Yeah.
There's 2 different things.
Whitlock, I am not proud of this moment. My grandma shot at her own son because he had the nerve to raise his hand to her. I'm not desensitized, but I've certainly seen in that dynamic, it can go down.
Well, I'm not going to go there because my mother's watching. She'll be mad at me.
Yeah,
All right, welcome back to the show. That was us talking about Jon Gruden. Earlier in the show, we told you yesterday about our new addition to the show. Uncle Jimmy's here to help us talk about Jon Gruden, our approval ratings.
What?
What are you wearing? What are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you wearing?
What did we talk about yesterday, man? What did we talk about yesterday, man? Time is money. Come on, man. Get out of my personal business. Man, I got a job, man. I work. I'm one of them ganjatologists.
Who? Who?
I'm a ganjatologist.
A gynecologist.
You work with Snoop only? What does a ganjatologist do? It's legal out here.
What did I tell you? What I tell you?
What?
I'm open. I'm trying.
Yeah. Look at the good doctor looking like the hood doctor over
there. You go. There you go.
Playing?
All right, before you go to work, wherever you're going to work, what did you think of our conversation earlier about Jon Gruden? He had a terrible performance last night. I think the contract, the money's being paid, way too much. He's never going to be successful.
Well, first of all, I think you're all in his personal business once again. I told you that yesterday. Probably the person I'm upset with the most, and Lord's hating me to say this, I'm more upset with Marcellus.
What just happened? Why?
No, I mean for real, man. I mean, honestly, man, because you're a good brother, man. You from good people. If I was to ask you, if I was to say, fool, where you from? What you gonna say? What you gonna say?
You claim?
Compton.
Yeah,
Compton. I mean, bro, you wore your purple suit today.
Yeah.
Grape Street.
Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I'm counting his money. What's the problem?
So, but you're sitting up here next to Whitlock, man. You sit up here next to Whitlock, and here's what I know about you. I know you a player. Genuine player.
E-R-N-A.
Hey.
Yeah.
Me, you, Jon Gruden, true players from where?
The
Himalayas. That's all I'm talking about, man. But you sitting up here with Whitlock, he gonna get you out your zone. He gonna get you off your square.
Ooh.
Cause see, Whitlock ain't got ain't got a player bone in his body. You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand.
For real, pretty soon, you know, you knew around town. He gonna have y'all off your square, man.
Dang, not which way is up. I don't even know now.
You know what I mean? I'm just simply
He's trying to come
saying,
between us, and it's working.
Listen,
It's working.
he thinks he's a player. I'm the real player. He always thinks he's a player. Just because he got baby mama drama, but we'll get into we'll get into that later. All right, let's go over our approval ratings for John Gruden. Jimmy, chime in if you want to, but I got John as a true dumpster fire.
Man, on fire.
Job performance, 0.
Bomb!
An absolute zero
Donut?
after that performance last night. Players don't want to play for him. All-time greatness, I moved him from an 18 to a 17. Dipped him down because his performance is so bad. Character, I dropped him a point from a 16 to a 15. And then authenticity, I took 2 points off for a 39 dumpster fire, John Gruden.
Boy, it's hot in here, all that fire. You just spit on that dude. You gave him a donut?
Job performance. Did you watch last night?
Did they score 3 points? You can't give them a 0.
It was the San Francisco 49ers.
They did score, though, man. Look, I'm not too far off from where you are. Job performance, he's dropped. He went down to an 8 for me. I still got to respect that John Gruden has given his team creative input that they got good plays. It's just the spirit is gone from this team because of that contract and because of the losses in the locker room. All-time greatness is down because it's starting to affect them. This is the first time I ever said, John Gruden lost the team. That's different, so that's going to affect you. Character, down because you can't admit what you're really doing, which is selling this season short and obviously tanking, it looks like. And authenticity, same dude. He's same OG that he was, which is below average, which is a 9. Dumpster fire for me, too.
No, that's a 42 is not a dumpster fire.
What's that?
39 and below, 40 and below. That's not a dumpster fire.
You know what? $100 million, you were dumpster fire, but you got 100 on you. You know what? You can't be on a dumpster fire.
Hold on, no.
I ain't burning that money.
You defended John Gruden somewhat earlier in this show.
Yeah.
And now you got him almost at a dumpster fire. How does that compute?
Well, Uncle Jimmy wasn't there in the beginning of the show. Uncle Jimmy has talked some sense into me. Uncle Jimmy has me thinking
That's why I like him.
Uncle Jimmy got me thinking, you know, I shouldn't be so married to you and your opinion because that's a problem, but he 50-plus single, so he got some play in him, Uncle Jimmy. You gotta
But my
respect
question
that.
is, what are y'all gonna do to John when he becomes? Because rumor is, he's running for Player of the Year this year.